Hello all my lovely little doodles, how are you on this fine day? So for this video, I have been putting it off way longer than I should have. I do not know why. I've had the script written down for almost 2 weeks now, but I just didn't want to record it for some reason. But I am today, so yay! This video is going to be really interesting, I hope, because I'm going to be sharing a lot of headcanons I have for the MudWing tribe because I feel like they're super underrated, and I just want to share a whole lot of things about my Heather AU PMV that I'm going to be releasing. I have no idea when. It's not going to be soon, that's all I know, because I haven't really done much with it. I do want to release it, but I feel like it's just going to be like sketches, nothing finished, because I just don't know why I'm not doing it. I'm finding a whole lot of other things to do, like just draw short little things, and then I get happy with that. So yeah, I decided to share my headcanon with MudWing so that way I could like give story building to my, again, Heather AU, and explain a whole lot of things, because I feel like without these headcanons explained, then like things would be a little bit confusing. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoy this video in advance, because like I honestly feel like MudWings are super underrated and they deserve a whole lot of love. So let's do this. Let's get on with the video. Another thing I want to mention is like with this video, I'm just going to have like my design for Umber and Sora going on in the background to have something to talk about that is related to the video. So, and just keep in mind, these are like all headcanons. None of them are true. I just like to think that they are. And don't take what I say as truth, because it most definitely isn't. But yeah, so for one of my very first headcanons, what I thought of was that the females are more aggressive than the male MudWings. And I feel like this would be a really interesting thing to see confirmed, because in the books, we see Clay's mother, Cattail. Is that her name? I can't remember. We see her just act so dismissive and rude towards Clay whenever he comes up to her. She's not really understanding. She's just like, oh yeah, I don't care about you, just go away. And then there is also Sora. She is an interesting dragon. I'm pretty sure I've made it clear before that I hate Sora. I feel like her character is just boring and not the best written. So yeah, but like she was planning on killing Icicle during a time of peace because Icicle killed Crane. And yeah, Crane. She killed an Icewing in Sora's flashback sequence in Moonrising. She killed an Icewing. I get it was for self-defense, but like still, I feel like it could add to female MudWings being more aggressive. And I also feel like they're a lot bigger than male MudWings. Not as big as like the big wings. Like say the big wings is a male, like the females are obviously going to be smaller than the big wings, but they're still going to be pretty large in size. And I also feel like the males are actually brighter in color compared to the females. Like they have more saturated earthy reds and oranges, and then the females are more dullish dark yellows and greens. I don't really know why. I just liked the idea of MudWings being a lot more vibrant in color, like the male ones. And also their eyes, I like to imagine that male MudWings have eye colors like orange, yellow, maybe even red. I feel like red might be overkill. And I like to imagine that the females have eye colors such as yellow and green, kind of matching their scales, but also not in a way. So yeah. And another thing, I like to imagine that their talons and claws are a lot bigger than your average dragon because of their environment. They live in the mud, obviously. They live in a swamp. So they have to be accustomed to like digging through the mud, walking through the mud. So I'd imagine that they have like larger talons and claws, so that way they have more ability to dig through the mud. Like I don't know how to word it properly without like tripping over my words, so that's just what we're gonna say. They have an incredible ability to dig through the mud. And I feel like this one is going to be really iffy, but let's say that like the big wings of a sibling group were to die, like, I feel like the second oldest would then become the big wings and they would actually grow in size. It sounds weird, but for some reason my logic is just that, like, the siblings obviously need big wings because otherwise they're going to fall into disarray. And I like to imagine that there was a point in history where multiple big wings have been killed in something. I'm not sure what yet, but like everything went into disarray, so they're just like, you know what? Second oldest of whatever group is now the big wings. I like to imagine that for some reason. I'm not sure how that would explain the reason that they grow so much in size then. But let's say that like the first oldest and the second oldest were to die, and then like there's the rest. Well, then the third oldest would be the big wings. So that's just the way I feel like it would work. So whenever Umber and Sora are on their own, Umber basically has to become the big wings. Like, he has to take care of Sora, make sure that she's okay, make sure that she's eating correctly, make sure that she's taking care of herself, because obviously what she went through is a very traumatic experience. So he wants to take care of her. That would basically make him the big wings of their little duo. So he would have to grow in size to accommodate that new role of his to protect Sora. But then further into the Heather PMV, like, I want to make this world extremely diverse. I want to add more to it. I want to include all of my headcanons in this world. Like, I really want to make more with it. So in the Heather PMV, it's going to lead to a lot of other Wings of Fire projects I have. And you're going to see Sora in some of the projects, and she's going to be extremely aggressive because, again, what she went through was extremely traumatic. So I feel like it would make her unstable in a sort of way. Like, she's suddenly untrusting of everybody because, like, oh no, what if they kill me? My own brother, Umber, could, like, report me to the queen at any moment. Like, yeah. So there's that. Also, the height difference between Sora and Umber isn't that much. Sora is actually the same height as Umber because she's older. She is older than him in, like, the sibling group. Like, she was, the fourth to hatch is my headcanon. So, yeah. Also, the smallest one in the sibling group is actually the youngest, as in they were the last ones to hatch. So, yeah. I have no idea why, because, like, the big wings is usually in charge of, like, helping everybody get out of their eggs, but I just like to imagine that, like, the one that they help last is going to be the one that is the smallest, too. And also, depending on their gender, they have different tusks. Now, in my Umber drawing, you saw that his first pair of tusks were pointing downwards, and then his second pair of tusks were pointing upwards. And for that to me is just, like, showing a gender. So, like, the females, first pair will point upwards, and then the second pair will point downwards. I feel like the first pair of tusks pointing upwards would give a lot more damage than, like, the first pair pointing downwards. I don't know why. Mainly because, like, your jaw is the one responsible for, like, biting. So if you had tusks that were to point upwards and you bit down on something, like, those tusks obviously would, like, be there. But the second tusks, yes, they would still do damage, but I feel like if the first pair were to point upwards, they would, like, be able to rip and maim things more. So there's that. And I also like to imagine that dragons with fireproof scales are more brightly colored, regardless of gender. Like, obviously with Clay, he was very, like, orangey brown. And I just like to imagine that all the fireproof MudWings just are brighter in color, regardless of gender. I also like to imagine that MudWings are some of the best doctors because obviously they care for one another in their sibling groups. But, like, if you, like, look in the Wings of Fire Dragon guide, it said that, like, everybody has different roles. I still like to imagine that everybody in this sibling group just knows some bit of medicine. That way, like, should the medic in their sibling group fall ill or get seriously hurt, they know what to do. Then there is also a very large fandom headcanon that most MudWings are aromantic, and I like to take up on that headcanon because it does fit with how none of them seem to have partners, and they're fine with that. So, yes. But I like to imagine that there are some who do not identify as aromantic, and, like, some of them are like Clay, obviously. I ship him with Peril for some reason. I just think that they're super cute together, especially with, like, how clumsy Peril acts with him. So it's really cute. And obviously, Umber, I headcanon him as someone who is not aromantic because I want him to be in a long-term relationship with Turtle in my AU. And again, in the Wings of Fire Dragon Guide, you can see, like it was mentioned that there was a dragon named Cottonmouth, and he ran away to be with a Rainwing, and I definitely think they would be in a long-term relationship. So yeah. And those are really all the headcanons I want to, like, talk about and explain, because I'm running out of time to talk. And I really want to, like, dive into Sora's character more, but that will have to be for, like, a different video in the distant future, because I already know what my next video is going to be about. I have it in the works right now. It's going to be the references for my Albatross map, which you should go check out and join, by the way, because, like, there's only 3 people in it. That's beside the point. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know I certainly did, getting to talk about all my headcanons. And if you did enjoy this video, consider liking and subscribing, because it doesn't take a lot of time and it helps push my videos out onto the YouTube algorithm to get recommended to more and more people with the same interest as you and me. And that is it for this video. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.